And where does this sudden flowering of science fiction come from? Not from the imaginary voyages of Lucian and Cyrano. It comes from science. Wells studied biology under Huxley and became an encyclopedic popularizer of science, much like our own Isaac Asimov. For all practical purposes, what we now call science fiction was Wells's invention. Between 1894 and 1908, he wrote 9 novels and 24 short stories in which he set forth nearly every one of the major themes that have kept science fiction going ever since. The Invisible Man, The War of the Worlds, The Time Machine, The First Men in the Moon, The Star, The New Accelerator, and so many more. About the same time, Kipling was also writing science fiction of the utmost circumstantiality in Easy as ABC and With the Night Mail. Now, this is science fiction because it introduces imaginative technological changes and social changes. It's based on the idea of the rational universe governed by natural law and the dynamic universe, the universe of change. At any rate, in the 1920s, something unprecedented happened, and its name was Hugo Gernsback. Gernsback was born in 1884 in Luxembourg. He came to this country as a boy, became an inventor and a publisher of what we would now call popular science magazines. In one of these, Electrical Experimenter, in the 20s, he began to publish short science fiction stories. And the popularity of these was such that in 1926, Gernsback launched the first magazine entirely devoted to this kind of fiction, Amazing Stories. In 1930, another publisher brought out a science fiction magazine, Astounding Stories, and that made 3. The magazines, although they were always in trouble, staggered on somehow from one owner to another. By 1939, there were 11. Now, Gernsback had built up a stable of writers who were essentially enthusiasts like himself and not professional authors. And enthusiasm was the most marked characteristic of their work. But gradually, in the late 20s and early 30s, we begin to see a few people making what could be described as a career in science fiction writing. 2 of the earliest of these were Jack Williamson and Edmund Hamilton. But because the magazines had drawn to themselves all the really enthusiastic readers of this kind of material, and because literary writers despised the magazines for their crudity, a gulf opened between literary and cult writers. The most influential literary writer of this period was probably Olaf Stapleton, whose 2 long lyrical narratives of the future of intelligence, spanning millennia and hundreds of light years, are full of inventive ideas that have been of use to other writers. The thing that strikes you about the literary writers is that each one was working more or less by himself, apart from all the others, whereas the commercial writers at this time were building up a set of shared assumptions, the widespread use of space travel, the galactic empire, and even a set of shorthand terms, a kind of jargon, hyperdrive, space warp, and so on, which helped them get on with their stories, but repelled and irritated the literary writers and readers even more. It became increasingly clear that for many adult readers, science fiction at its best was a form of the epic. The most popular authors were those who wrote novel cycles, like E.E. Smith with his Skylark and Lensman novels, which ranged over dozens of planetary systems and perhaps half a century in time. We see the same thing today in the enthusiasm for Tolkien and Frank Herbert's Dune.